entrando la gente. Bueno, pues bienvenidos a la segunda parte de ADM. Vamos a empezar hoy. Os voy a presentar la asignatura, la segunda parte de la asignatura, ¿vale? Que no tiene nada que ver con la primera. Y bueno, como sabéis, esta asignatura se imparte en inglés, ¿vale? Entonces haremos un Spanglish aquí, una mezcla de inglés y castellano. Cualquier cosa, además ahora que estamos en modo telemático, cualquier cosa que no entendáis, pues me la preguntáis en castellano, en inglés, en fin, lo importante es que entendáis un poco lo que estamos estudiando y que quede sin entender, ¿vale? Entonces, bueno, sobre todo en las clases estas online, pues yo prefiero que abráis el micro y preguntéis y haya un poquito de comunicación, porque si no, es un poco rollo, ¿vale? Cualquier duda, cualquier cosa que tengáis, pues lo preguntáis. Vale, entonces, bueno, los que algunos ya me conoceréis, ¿vale? Yo normalmente estoy en la ETSE y nada, mi nombre es Miguel Lozano y os voy a dar esta segunda parte de la asignatura, ¿vale? Si queréis pasamos ya a la parte, a la presentación en inglés. No sé si hay muchos extranjeros este año, bueno, no lo sé. Pero bueno, en cualquier caso, la primera parte supongo que la habéis hecho en inglés, ¿no? Oscar, os la ha dado en inglés, aunque estemos en este modo semi-online, semi-presencial. Y yo pues haré un poco lo mismo. Vale. So we can start with the second part of the subject. The name of the subject you perfectly know is Administración de Dispositivos Móviles, and this second part is focused on processing for Android. Possibly many of you know processing, which is an idea for graphics programming, really. It really was created for artists in the MIT. This is the origin with the Inventor, which is a framework for computer graphics. And finally, has processing is like the last version of a Java approach that tried to mix graphics and coding. So it was originally created for artists, but it's okay. ¿Puedes programar las reuniones de antemano? No entiendo eso. ¿Qué son unas reuniones? ¿Las clases? Pues supongo, pero ¿qué quiere decir? No entiendo por qué quieres unirte con antelación. ¿Puedes abrir el micro y hablamos? Bueno. Bueno, la reunión tú siempre tienes que ir a la reunión del grupo, no hay, yo no voy a programar reuniones. Nos vamos a reunir en la sala principal de la asignatura, ¿vale? Entonces tú cuando llegues, a ver, tú cuando llegues aquí a dispositivos móviles y al Teams, le vas a dar a la sala principal, ¿vale? Y yo la tengo aquí, yo es que la tengo. Solo tienes que apretar este botón. ¿vale? Para reunirte. Esta es la sala donde nos vamos a reunir siempre, ¿vale? En la general. No sé, Oscar, ¿había programado? Vale. No, yo no voy a programar las reuniones. Ya están programadas, es el horario y nos venimos aquí, ¿vale? No te va a costar nada. Voy a traer aquí esto. Sí tiene alguna ventaja más, pero no le veo ninguna ventaja. Vale, pues vamos a continuar, ¿ok? Vale, Lidia, lo vas a ver. Solo tienes que darle al botón de unirse al general, ¿vale? No hay problema con eso. Y si hay algún problema, pues me lo decís. Pero vamos, no creo que haya ningún problema. So we were talking about processing for Android, okay? This is another way for creating Android applications, and it's really a very fast way. So it's really straightforward to get an idea. Processing is focused on that of design, of coding design project, which is a fast developing framework for creating fast prototypes. Sometimes are not really big projects, but are good prototypes for showing your ideas and then maybe to fight for a project or something like that. So what we are going to do today, I was just well, I like to present the subject, the content we are going to study, and some bibliography and the evaluation. It's important for you how we are going to evaluate and mark your projects, and talk a little bit about the final project and maybe show some examples. So this part of the subject is focused on Android. Really is focused on processing as a base for calling Android application, because it gives us all the inventor framework, which basically is providing a very good graphic environment, a very easy graphic environment. So it's very easy, very handy to create some graphics applications and some graphical user interfaces with the buttons, with the sliders, with all the things we need for creating this kind of interactive applications. Because we are here doing this, one of the important reasons is because mobile devices give us very good opportunities to work with interactions. So interaction is an important issue here as well. And interaction is very strongly related with sensing and with all the sensors we have in our devices, which now we can control with the code, and we are going to test some of them and to make some practice with them, with accelerometer, with gyroscope or the camera. There are really many ways or many sensors with different nature that we can get some data from our device and create programs that works with. In fact, we will do a lab session focused on sensing, and I think we will repeat the lab session about a falling detector. It's like trying for all people trying to detect one where when your device has fallen down, ¿no? Es un detector de caídas. When someone is wearing a device, maybe in his pocket or maybe in his hands or wherever, the device can detect that the motion, the acceleration it has suffered matches with a fall down, no? And maybe it's an important application for calling medical services and so on. So we first start with introducing all the graphics stuff. Then we will focus on sensing and a subset of the sensors we have, because we have really a good quantity of sensors and we practice 3 or 4. We have also some face recognition based on the camera, and we have many possibilities. And then we'll focus on interactive application based on animation and simulation, like us really not for excuse, not for introducing as an excuse the libraries, the games libraries. It's like, okay, we know how to create graphics and how to handle interaction and sensing. Maybe we can create some animation applications, and we have some very good external libraries we should know for using them in our projects. And in this case, I will show you one of the most interesting, which is Box2D, which is it's a physics library for creating games as Angry Birds and all these kind of physics related games. One of the best thing about processing is the examples on all the documentation we have on the web. So I will introduce you in these slides many web links, many URLs for you should visit and have a look. And all of these things we'll try to zip in 10 classes and 4 lab sessions. So we are going a little bit fast, not really fast, but I assume that you have some knowledge on many of the things I'm going to tell you, so I don't stop to explain many things, even you need to me for doing this. So the content list with the modules and the lab sessions are presented now. So we have today the first module, the 0 module, and the .5 module, which is just the presentation of the subject, and started with Android processing, which is basically the same you have on the website. We are going to review in a minute. And once we have passed these first 2 modules, it's like I assume you have a device, which is a strong requirement here. If there is people that don't have access to a device, please tell me, contact with me, and we try to help you on that, because everybody needs a mobile phone or a tablet or an Android device for creating all the examples and all the applications. It's not. I don't recommend the simulator of the devices. And many of the tasks we are going to do here, it's impossible. For instance, the sensing and all these things. So if you don't have an Android device for this subject, please tell me in an email, for instance. So this is important because, for instance, when we finish these 2 main modules, you should have installed in your device a simple application, okay? But you need to work with, you need to try to install, which is what we are going to do. I will show you today, and we are going to do this tomorrow. Try to start your first application and trying to check it in your device, okay? So we will start working with the Android devices from the beginning. Then we focus on basics drawing and interaction, and this is like, okay, we are going to review fastly how we can import some graphic primitives, and how we can create it, and how we can load some images for creating our space invaders, our small games with simple interaction, and how we can introduce the basic drawing stuff, okay? And the same from the interaction point of view. Interaction can be complex, can be focused on gestures, which we will see here with this library with Kitai. In my part of the subject, I will introduce as much libraries I can, because in this part of the subject, every year processing provide us with more and more libraries. So you should think that maybe you are coding something that is also been coded before and is in a good library that you can use. So it's a good idea to integrate your code with external libraries. So the lab session for completing, for finishing the first module, which is basic drawing and interaction, will be the sketch plot. I will show you an example. It's something you can something you can draw with your finger, and you can change the color, and it's like a small plotting, environment, like a paint or something like that. Then we will focus. In this part of this, in my side of the subject, we will really focus on these three modules. First is basic drawing. Then we will review and study the sensors from NATIC perspective. I'm sure with Oscar you have worked a little bit of sensing as well, and we will use the external library Ketai, which is very interesting. And Ketai provide us for a long list of sensing devices. And in this case, or last year, we did the step counter, which is similar as I told you before, like the false detector or the false down detector. For all people, this is similar. This is an application which it aims to count the steps we are performing when we work, trying to count the steps according to the sensors we have, basically according to the acceleration. The accelerator gives us the acceleration on X, Y, and Z, so we can integrate some signals and try to detect the peaks on accelerator to detect finally the steps, and trying to count how many steps have you done. So this is a very interesting lab session. It's really, if we think on the problem to try to solve it very well, it's very complex. I'm not really thinking I'm solving the problem perfectly, but try to a fast approach for handling, managing the accelerations, and trying to infer in a simple way some function, which is the steps you have really, or to count the steps you have done. And finally, the third module is focused on interactive games. And I show you this library, the Box2D library, which will help us a lot for creating interactive environments with graphics. And the most interesting thing here is that graphics and objects and graphical objects have physical behavior. So we can, if the objects falls and collide and so on, so we can create some interactive games similar to Angry Birds or different kind of racing or, well, whatever thing. There are many possibilities. And we will study really these three modules. And we will do 3 lab sessions, and finally we will do a final project. For me, this is a very practice issue. I don't want to make some exam to prepare some exams for you, and I'm sure you also are more comfortable with solving exercises and making some practice. So this is how I designed the evaluation of the subject. So you in these 3 modules, you will have different exercises you should prepare and you should upload to the Aula Virtual. So this is the module pro exercises. Then you have the lab sessions. Obviously, you have to also to upload to Aula Virtual for me to mark you. And the final mark normally gets the 30% from these exercises and this lab, and this 70% from your final project. Okay, which is also many times is an improvement or is something bigger. You can see here we will finish the course with the lab 3, which we will practicing and working with Box 3D, and many people wants to apply this or increase this lab and convert this lab to the final project, which is obviously possible. If not, the final project is you will define your final project, the kind of application you want to do, and well, I will show you some templates for trying to define your ideas. And the final project you will spend a couple of weeks. So the project can be very deep, can be very long, because you always have really 2 weeks. But it's not every year surprise me the kind of things you can do in 2 weeks, because there are really good games and applications, and it's very good. So your final mark gets the 30% of your exercise and the 70% of the final project, because I know you will focus on your final projects trying to create a good final application. And for me, this is like to go to make some practice to prepare the final project. This is like a final race, the final marathon, and this is the gym you do for preparing this. Well, sometimes if you don't pass or you don't send me any exercises or labs, so you can get a classical evaluation method. I can prepare an exam for you if you prefer and go, but it really never occurs. And obviously my part is the half of the subject, so my marks will be averaged with the final marks provided from Oscar, and you will have the final marking of the subject. These are examples of all final projects. This is something. This is the step counter, an improvement, a very good improvement of the step counter, which is a well-known simulation problem, trying to detect the steps and followed by a pedestrian. So there are different papers or different scientific literature we can use, because you are not going really to invent nothing. but we can use, I will show you this. We can use these designs, trying to get these peaks, maximum and minimum, trying to detect or to count from this signal, which will be your accelerator, your accelerations captured from your accelerator on your device. We can really have this kind of signal, process this kind of signal, count the peaks, and finally from these peaks count finally the steps. And there is a lot of literature, there is a lot of approaches for this kind of projects. So I will provide you the methods if you want. There is another one here. Well, just for having a look. I need the FCBN. Well, there are basically two different types of final project. One set is people that like more this kind of scientific problems, normally focus on sensing. And as I said before, the second option, normally followed by student, is to develop an interactive game. And I will show you this kind of physical libraries for creating physical-based games, and it's very interesting, and it's really also complex if you want really to create something complicated. So you need time. So many people get the work of the last session and of the last lab session and tries to improve this session and to apply with more things for creating the final project. The final projects will supervise the design. So before you start coding nothing, you will tell me, okay, we are interested. You can group a couple of persons for making the project. So you will check with me the ideas, because sometimes you think a very complex project, you don't realize that it's really complex. So I will prevent you, okay, think about this and think about that, or make some small planification, because you only have 2 weeks and it's not very hard if you want to make a lot of work. Okay. Well, if we finally get some classical evaluation, I never have done this evaluation type, but well, anyway, the final mark will be the exam, the 60%, of the labs, the 40%. This is important. You have very good books that will help you a lot on your doubts and your problems. Really, the first one I get, and I prepare this subject based on the first book I find about this Android processing coding. Is the first one? Is the Daniel Sauter, which titles "Rapid Android Development: Build Rich Sensor-Based Application with Processing." I think you can get it from the internet. I'm not sure. It's also in I think in the library. And then we have another more recent. After this book, some books about processing Android will appear, and this is one of the best: Processing for Android, Creating Mobile Sensors Aware and VR Applications Using Processing. I think we can, I have also, I will provide you some examples about this book. You have also in internet, and you have a very good, you have a good quantity of examples with this. And I think it's in process. I'm going to check it in a moment. So. And this will help on showing you why processing is very interesting. So I have here processing. Well, to finish this slide, there are very good web references on the web, on the Android processing web. We are going to check it and review it now. The first one, the installation and so on. There is a very good book called Nature of Code with many processing examples based on simulation and different kind of things. And we can try to get some ideas from this book, or learning processing. Okay, and you have also a wiki for to get more information. So I think I have the examples here. If you have worked previously with processing, you should know that the libraries, some of them install some examples. And one of the best things of processing is that you have the example side here with many things. For instance, classical example I use for this kind of thing is the flocking. I show you in a moment, but I want to know if I have the examples of the books, of Android processing books. So the libraries, I have installed many libraries: Clase, Control P5, Ktype for sensing, Pathfinder, PCCam for 3D cams, for pixels flow for really simulate flows, well, different things. And you can say here I have processing for Android and all the chapters with the examples. And also I have here Box2D for processing, which contains many examples. I can show you. And the good thing is for processing, for me, is like, I can show you in a couple of examples I have here. I checked it yesterday. This is, I will show you now, but one of the best things of processing, which is very friendly, is that you have the sketches here with your classes, and just a play and a stop is very easy to handle. And you have here the mode you want to work with. So I'm working now with Java mode, which seems like the code I'm really coding here with this main. I will show you that it's really just a setup and a draw application, maybe some interaction about mouse. When I play this code, I am in Java mode, so the window will appear in my desktop. And when I change this and I just change to Android mode, if I play this, I have the application on my mobile phone. So I can show you. I checked this yesterday, the flocking one, and when you install, you have different icons. For instance, I show you with this flocking. Which is the same, but in the mobile phone. The flocking example is a classical groping behavior for motion, for particles simulation. It's a model for really we use for simulate some groups of animals, people, or flock, some different creatures. And for instance, with this Box2D processing is exactly the same. So we will see if I, for instance, get the bridge example, which is a bridge, I change first the mode to Java, so I can show you here. And it's a bridge, it's just a chain created with circles. And if you realize this is link each of the circles we have here with a spring, which is really the model is testing here. But the good thing is that I can add some objects like these boxes with physical properties as a mass and rotations and so on, have collisions, and this is like a hammock now, which is holding all the boxes. And the same you have here. If I change the mode and I put this, you will have the same application here with the chain, and when I click with my finger, the boxes are falling down, and I can have the same. So one of the best things for me is that many things you can code on your desktop and then try to test on your device. So, any question about the subject? This is the presentation of the subject with the contents and the evaluation and so on. ¿Alguna pregunta? ¿Os ha quedado claro cómo voy a evaluaros, la bibliografía que miraréis? Esta es una asignatura de mucho trabajo en casa y muy práctica. ¿Vale? Básicamente lo vamos a hacer es plantear los ejercicios para que vayáis haciendo cosas y luego corregiré los ejercicios con los laboratorios y el trabajo final, y eso es lo que nos llevamos. Okay, everything fine. So, I'm going to close this and I'm going to show you the second.
Una pregunta.
Dime.
Hola.
Hola. Hola. Te oigo. Yo te oigo. Dime. ¿Me oyes?
Sí, ha habido un pequeño problema. La entrega del proyecto final de esta segunda parte, ¿cuándo se haría?
Pues se hace el día del examen. Típicamente tenéis hasta el día del examen para entregar. De la primera convocatoria.
Vale, no.
Que no sé cuándo es, pero cuando ponga.
Vale, de acuerdo. No, es que lo digo porque tenemos también el proyecto de la primera parte de esta asignatura que se entregaría el 17 de mayo, por eso lo preguntaba.
No, claro, nosotros nos vamos al final de curso, ¿vale? De hecho,
Cierto.
se acaban las clases y las 2 semanas que os digo que tenéis es un poco lo que planificamos en el proyecto final, de decir, vamos a hacer un proyecto para 2 semanas, ¿vale? De un
Claro.
prototipo de aplicación gráfica que puede ser una carcasa de un juego con alguna funcionalidad, pero no va a ser el juego completo, con todos los menús, no da tiempo. Entonces podéis
Claro.
empezar algo o completar alguna cosa, o en fin, tenéis toda la libertad, y me gusta siempre daros la libertad para que profundicéis un poco donde más os guste trabajar.
Cierto.
Y la fecha tope es el examen, claro. El examen de primera convocatoria, ahí hay que entregarlo porque ya así lo corrijo y ya, pues la primera convocatoria normalmente, pues la mayoría de la gente, a no ser que lo hagas muy mal y entregues cosas horrorosas, pues,
Claro.
¿vale? Entonces, nada, tenéis toda la ayuda además para hacerlo durante el camino.
Muy bien.
Lo que sí es importante es eso, no hacer un proyecto por tu cuenta y no decirlo y luego o cambiarlo sobre la marcha. Todos entregaréis una propuesta de proyecto, ¿vale? Y
Claro.
escribiréis en 2 hojas una mini planificación de las tareas, de la idea, el diseño que queréis hacer y una mini planificación para decir, vale, pues esto me lo he pensado y voy a estar 2 días con el personaje este, voy a estar otros 2 días codificando la interacción, otros 2 haciendo esto y me salen más o menos las cuentas. Que luego te tiras 2 días y 2 noches, pues seguro, también lo sé, pero no podemos, no podéis meteros en un marrón muy fuerte, por lo menos yo que os intente avisar, ¿vale?
Vale.
Hay muchos que no habéis tocado processing nunca. No sé cómo lo podemos saber. Bueno, ya me lo diréis.
Votando, levantando la mano, por ejemplo.
Vale. Levantando ya veo aquí uno. Solo uno. Dos.
O sea, yo realmente, o sea, toqué Processing, pero lo toqué muy poco en otra asignatura, la
Ah,
asignatura de Alfa.
vale, sí, no, pues no. No, porque processing es interesante para hacer gráficos. Vale. Entonces, bueno. Y luego, a la hora de hacer gráficos, pues también es interesante, mm, dependiendo del tipo de aplicación que queramos, no solo los gráficos, sino saber un poquito de computación gráfica, de geometría computacional, de cuando la cosa está dentro de un objeto o otra, no sé qué, todas esas especialización un poco, está muy bien que os juntéis, ¿vale? La gente que ha hecho ya a lo mejor simulación, animación y tenga a lo mejor un poquito más de fluidez en esto, pues que os juntéis, que os mezcléis multimedios e informáticos, que sois todos básicamente hermanos en la tecla y así pues que compartáis un poquito, ¿vale? Eso es un poco lo que os aconsejo, pero vamos, tenéis la libertad de hacer lo que queráis. Y los que no lo habéis hecho, pues ahora estas Pascuas y todo esto, pues en fin, Processing es muy sencillo. Lo que es el framework no os va a costar nada. Lo que os va a costar más es eso, poder resolver problemillas más de corte físico en, en Processing o en cualquier aplicación, ¿vale? Entonces, hoy vamos a ver un poco los detalles de instalación para que todo el mundo empiece a instalarlo, a probarlo y a poder probar el modo Android, ¿vale? Porque como os digo, Processing tiene varios modos. Tiene el modo JS, tiene el modo Python que han puesto ahora y tiene el modo Android, que es el primero que salió y es pues muy interesante, ¿vale? Entonces, now we're going to start the getting started, which basically covers the installation and processing presentation. Okay, so what's processing? As I presume you know, processing is just a software created for help on graphics computation, really. So it was originally created for artists, but many computer scientists use for trying to help them in these graphical applications. This is the reason I use this for a graphical subject like simulation or something like this, and trying to show very fast and very quickly and without effort different kind of graphical application or simulation. And it's very, very useful to have the possibility to convert automatically to Android environment, no? And this is because it's based on Java, and this helps a lot on transforming the code and creating the jars and all the necessary for coding the final app, the APCAP package that Android understands and can run. Okay. So you need to work with Java, as I'm sure you know how to work with Java, how to code with Java. And the processing environment is very simple. I'll show you now. You Well, the first thing is you go to processing.org and download the last version, and then you have to get the Android mode, the Android SDK. But as the example shows, you can create your first application very easily, because any processing sketch, the structure is defining a setup for creating your objects and for creating the window, which is created once we define the size of this window. Okay, and now we should also define the draw. So as you know, it's an environment created for graphics applications. So the only thing you should know is, okay, I will create some objects here, and then I will update the objects in this function. And now it's like an endless loop. So it's always an infinite loop on this function. And normally in this kind of loops, in graphical application, the first thing you should do for before writing on the frame buffering, then on the frame buffers, so before really drawing, is to clean the frame buffer. And here is the background. Whoops. The background command is provide us a background. Accepts also a different kind of color modes, so we can use a gray level. So we can use 100, for instance, the gray level, and this is because I am on Android mode and I have to save this. Android Java, that's it. So this is just the gray background, and then I can draw whatever. I use ellipse, and the ellipse function is very handy, yet needs the position and the radius. So I can use, for instance, this. As I know is 600 the size of my window, I can use this. This is the size. Sorry, this is the location to put the center of the ellipse, and this will be the radius. As you know, ellipses have two radius, the maximum radius and the minimum one. I would put some 30. So this really draws my ellipse, which is I can use, for instance, if I want to see the bigger radius, or even more interesting, processing will give us many informations with related control variables. One of the control variables is, for instance, the width and height. So I can use the width if I can. This is 300, exactly the same I used before, because this is on the middle. So this is the same result. And also I can use another interesting control variable is the mouse X and mouse Y. So when I move the mouse, the ellipse will be drawn here, according to my mouse. And as you can see, it's just 3 lines. Well, 3 lines. And if I change this to Android, I can run this automatically to my device, and I can get this impressive application. Okay. So one of the interesting things here is like you should know that where are all the sketches I'm recording. You will have a sketch book on your of your home directory. So I have this in my home sketchbook. So I have here is the Android SDK, which is very important for us now. But also we have many different or many examples of the sketch I have run here. You can also have a copy on your hard drive whenever you want, but the processing environment organizes these sketches with this book folder. And one interesting thing, if you have problems now with the SDK installation of Android, is to know how where is the preferences, which is here in the archive. In the archive folder, you have the preferences, and the preferences, as you expect, let us to define different configuration of the environment and so on. And you can also access to this hidden directory, which is .processing preferences. And if you go to this file and you open the file, you can also change. Obviously, this is the processing. When you run processing, it loads this file. So this is interesting for you want to install different, for instance, the SDK of Android. You have here some variables, and maybe the most interesting is the path. So you can have different SDK of versions in different paths, or if processing can find the path, so you can check if the path is trying to find its correct path or not, or whatever. So you have here all these preferences for the environment, for the processing environment, and maybe you need to change some of them. Another interesting thing is that you can also integrate processing on other IDEs like Eclipse, NetBeans, or even the Android Studio. I think I don't use this approach because for me processing is a way of make computing more light, no, más ligero. So I don't want big environments for working something like. And another very interesting issue is the capacity we have now with processing for extending processing with new libraries. You should know. So here in this with this option, with the sketch options, you have to import libraries, and to add a library, this is the libraries I have installed, and to add a new one, just add a new one, and you can filter for the name, because as you can see, there are many of different kind of libraries for Arduino, for block detection, for many things, for curves like Bezier curves, for combinatorics, I don't know, many things, many different things. Physical, we will use this for Box2D as well. I don't know, you can have a look, and there is a full set of libraries. Well, you can imagine that many of them are focused on graphics. Okay. in sensing and data processing, pathfinding, something in AI, artificial intelligence, for making this kind of applications, natural language, for instance, a wrapper to use Redis, which is a database, well, different things, shapes 3D, machine learning, and every year appears new one. So this is very interesting. For example, if you want to create a graphical user interface, you can find guy here and say, okay, you have control, DOMSA, Guido, and also you have Googling, you can have access to other libraries. So you have here these normal archive file, archive options, and I I highlight the examples. You have a very good collection of examples from the basics to more or grouped by topics or based on your libraries. But have a look on your examples at the beginning. Then, well, the edition is the normal edition. Sketch is basically for adding more libraries, and then you have the mode. You can also add a new mode, and you can see here the modes we have: Python, R mode, rep, or shader mode to code some GALSL shaders. You can also code shaders with processing. And in this subject, we will be always swapping between Java and Android. Okay. So the first thing, when you install processing, you don't have the Android SDK installed. So the first thing is installing your Android mode, which is a thing you can do now, trying to complete the first problem for you is to run your first example on your device. So the Android mode, you have a very good documentation here. So you just have to follow this. So you find the Android mode as I did, and then you install the Android mode. You will have installed on the preferences file, as I show you, you will have the path where this is installed, and then we will start working with this tutorial for the first things. Okay. If you want to work with Android Studio, you can also work with Android Studio, and it shows you how to do it. So you can integrate different things. This is not the. Here, this one. So you have a brief resume of that in my slides, but you have to come here and to have a look to here because it's very detailed. So. He quitado las trampas. Bueno, voy a poner. So to code it with processing is very easy, and the first thing you should do is to install the Android mode. You should follow these instructions and download the SDK, And now we are, I think, the 28. It's not really very important. You get the last one. And automatically the SDK will download for you and will be downloaded to your hard drive. So you can just simply check this and try to code a simple example. Okay. This is the first thing you should do. Try to run a sketch on your device. So we will get some example like I've done with flocking or whatever. For instance, we have here very simple examples, interesting. You can try to get the idea of this. So if I press the mouse and I press on the left. So when I press the mouse on the left, I simply draw a rectangular, and when I press on the right, I use another. I will draw another rectangular on the right side. So this is the effect you will have. So you can simply get this code and try to use and try to run this code on your device. Okay, you only need the USB cable to connect your device to your computer, and I have not the cable here. Next class I will do. When you change your mode, the Android mode, here in devices, when you connect your device, it should appear here. I will show you tomorrow with my mobile phone. And as I presume you know, because you have been working with Android before, you should open your developer options of your mobile phones. You should activate this and then allow to get programs from the USB cable, and that's all. Then you can work with processing and Android processing. So the emulator, I don't recommend the emulator. If you don't have a device, just tell me, and maybe we can borrow one from you. Os podemos dejar un dispositivo si no tenéis, because it's not a good idea to work with the emulators. And Dios, lo he vuelto a quitar. Ay, madre. So, the thing you should do now, from here to tomorrow, tomorrow I will start with the module 1, the drawing basics and interaction. But your goal for now to the end of the holidays is to set up your Android setup and to run some examples on your device. Okay. Vuestro objetivo desde ahora hasta el final de las vacaciones es que os instaléis el Android SDK, que os funcione y que podáis correr alguna aplicación, ¿vale? Ejemplo de las que tenéis en los ejemplos o la que queráis, no hace falta de momento ninguna. A partir de mañana ya empezamos el tema y os pondré ejercicios y ejemplos que tendréis que ir haciendo, ¿vale? Pero de momento vuestro objetivo es que seáis capaces de correr vuestras aplicaciones en el dispositivo, ¿vale? Es muy importante que lo hagáis cuanto antes, porque si no, luego viene el tema de sensores y vienen otros temas que necesitamos los dispositivos, y si no te lo has preparado, pues es un desastre. ¿Ok? Así que nada, la presentación por la clase de hoy, que es la primera de presentación, lo vamos a dejar aquí. repasaros las opciones de instalación, el que no lo tenga instalado, el que ya lo tenga, pues fenomenal, ya sabe cómo funciona. Y, y nos vemos mañana. ¿Alguna duda? A ver, las clases van a ser online. Esta semana es que tenemos en el horario clases online. Y me dijo Oscar que preferíais online y digo, bueno, pues me quedo. Pero cuando sea semana normal, pues yo iré a clase. ¿Vale? Y vosotros, pues lo que queráis. En principio hay muchos ejemplos que os mostraré aquí compartiendo pantalla y bueno, no creo que haya mucho problema. ¿Los laboratorios habrá hacernos online? Pues yo creo que no. Los laboratorios, hasta donde yo... Este es el único laboratorio realmente que doy todo teorías y como esta parte va distinta a la otra, pero supongo que los laboratorios son presenciales. De todas maneras, lo que se tenga que hacer se hará. El año pasado fue todo, por cierto, el año pasado fue todo online. Por cierto, una cosa importante o interesante, mañana os lo recordaré. Como el año pasado grabé un montón de clases, las podéis usar si queréis, ¿vale? Están en MMedia. Ahora lo voy a poner. ¿Vale? Entonces, bueno, salvo los ejemplos que cambie, pues aquí tenéis en el servidor de multimedia de la universidad, aquí tenéis, por ejemplo, pues clases del año pasado, el laboratorio del Paint, la clase 2, el Step Detector, desde que empecé a hacer un poco, y luego tenéis cosas también de simulación, pero bueno, las cosas de ADM tenéis por aquí, tema 4. ¿Vale? Que si queréis ya os lo iré recordando conforme vayamos llegando, pero podéis también buscarlas y cogerlas. ¿De acuerdo? Buenos días a todos. Vamos a continuar las clases de ADM. Y además está en castellano. El año pasado, como no fuimos a clase, lo hice en castellano. Ok, pues nada, lo dejamos aquí. Nos vemos mañana a las 5 o a las 5:30, ¿vale? A la hora que sea el horario. ¿De acuerdo? Cualquier cosa, pues me podéis escribir o mañana nos vemos. Mm, mm.